Okay, so I want to invite on stage now what is referred to as, well, a portion of the district governor's string. And it's an opportunity for us to get to learn a bit more about some of our future leaders. As I catch my breath. Let me invite on stage, maybe I should go ladies first on this occasion, District Governor Nominee Designate Debbie Rup-Chan, and give her a round of applause as she approaches. Followed by District Governor Nominee Brian Glasgow. Wait, is Brian in the room? Oh, he's on his way. I was worried for a minute there because I didn't see Brian before. I thought, oops. Okay, he's here. Great. And followed by Brian is our District Governor-elect, Leslie Ramdani. So I have a set of questions here, and by the way, if you have any questions that you wish me to ask, which I may miss, we have half an hour, but if there are any questions you want to slip to me, please do. I think we know that District Governor Leslie is going to be our next district governor, to be followed by Brian, and then to be followed by Debbie. So we're going to ask a number of questions and try to make it as informal as we can, and hopefully get some information. And so I'm going to start with District Governor-elect Leslie, and I'm going to make it a leadership question. So I want to understand from you how far back you can trace your desire for leadership, what sort of, maybe it was something in your childhood or maybe teenage years, but what was that manifested that brought you to this point of your journey in leadership?
Okay, thank you for that, Paul. I think way back, one of the persons that really influenced my life was my father. Having grown up on a family-owned estate, I grew up, he influenced my life immensely. And I admired his leadership role in the way he managed his life, to start from very small, and to own what he had, what we have today in the business, in the company. So he certainly influenced my life because I like the way he managed the people who were around him, the way he took care of his community that supported his farm and his business, and that propelled me forward to follow his footsteps and to build on what he left for us. So that was my main leadership stream. In terms of Rotary, there are certain PDGs here who know my history in terms of leadership. It did take a while until finally I'm here as your DGE. So that's the story.
Well, thank you very much. You could applaud. That was good. Keep the energy in the room high. Thank you for that. Tells us something about the importance of parenting and a father figure, and parents in general, father and mother. So let's go to Brian, and I'm going to give a slightly different question, maybe leading on from what DGE Leslie finished up on, which is Rotary. So maybe tell us a bit about your Rotary journey and what got you into Rotary, what made you excited about being a part of this organization.
Okay. I think I became aware of Rotary when I was a teenager in St. Lucia, because at that time the Rotary Club of St. Lucia met at what's known as the Green Parrot, and I would be aware of people who were Rotarians, but I wasn't really quite sure what Rotary was about. At that time, and I'm talking about way back here, Rotary was an organization comprised of men, typically old men. So, I wasn't an old man then. So, as a teenager, you didn't really feel attracted by an organization that comprised of rich old men, and in St. Lucia, rich, very rich old men, and I obviously missed out on two of these categories. My job took me to different parts of the Caribbean, and actually I lived and worked in Trinidad for a short while in my early 20s, and interestingly enough, I joined the Leo Club in San Fernando. So I was a Leo, and that helped me to understand the role of service clubs in communities. So when I ended up in St. Vincent, a family friend who some of the older Rotarians in here might know, I don't see many of them, many of you, but some of you might know a Rotarian named Bob Haydock. Both of his daughters, in fact, are Rotarians. There's Kim Haydock in St. Vincent, and there's Mandy Haydock, formerly of Antigua, who's now in the BBI or TCI or someplace like that. But Bob was a very committed Rotarian, and he basically came up to me one day and said, look, Brian, you need to join the Rotary Club. And that was it. So there wasn't a lot of thinking about what I was doing. But what I can say is that introduction from Bob turned out to be one of the most worthwhile introductions in my entire life. And you know, as Leslie said, I'm here today, and it's been an incredible journey in Rotary of over 30 years. But when I see the good we've done, you know, this morning I spoke about the volcano projects. I've listened all day to some of the other wonderful projects that have been done in the district. When I listen and when I experience what Rotary does in our communities, according to Dr. Leon this morning, our small island developing states, it makes everything that I've done in Rotary worthwhile. So that's it.
Yeah, thank you for that. Very good. Please go on. Which is, I mean, you guys are making it easy for me, because that's a nice segue for what I want to ask Debbie. So Debbie, I've experienced some stuff you've said and written before based on your chairmanship in the area of peace. And I just want to understand, what was that moment maybe in your life that inspired you to believe that you wanted to be of service to your community?
Well, thank you for that question. I come from very, very humble beginnings. And when I qualified as an attorney at law and joined that noble profession, I felt that it was an avenue where I could give back. Within 2 years of becoming an attorney, on one day I was walking through Gulf City Mall. That's the biggest mall we have in San Fernando. And I saw a Rotary banner and a Rotary booth with Rotarians. And I went up to them to ask what it is they did, what the organization was about. And that was it for me. Within 2 months or so, I would have been inducted into Rotary. And I've never looked back, and I've used it as an opportunity to give back from day one.
Whoa. I'm going to stay with you, Debbie, because I read some stuff you sent me, and one of the things you said is, my actions are guided by the Gandhian philosophy that there is no path to peace. Peace is the path. Tell us about your passion for peace.
It is an area that I feel peace really is like an embodiment of me, my personality. I don't like conflict. I don't like tense situations. That might sound strange coming from an attorney, but it's not. Again, I have used my profession. I do a lot of mediation. I always try to settle matters. And when I joined Rotary and I realized that this was actually an area of focus, peace and conflict prevention, I felt here again, you know, there's a wonderful opportunity to blend what I do professionally in terms of resolving disputes and to actually use it as an avenue of service, you know, this particular area of focus. And for those of you who know a little bit about me, you know I'm very, very passionate about the planting of peace poles, the just spreading that message of love and peace, which we all know is needed so much today. I mean, you just need to look at what is happening in Ukraine and Russia and to understand that there's just a need for peace.
Okay, thank you. You're right about that. There's an article on Ukraine about peace in our last newsletter for those who might want to check on that. A plug for a newsletter. Thanks for that answer. DGE Leslie, you mentioned about your growing up on a farm. You didn't indicate, but I have information that you grew up on a family owned by a diverse farm, and I think this developed your keen interest on the environment, sustainability, and your passion for the outdoors. Could you talk to us more about, because we've been on many meetings together, and every time we were on a meeting, the district governor would say, anytime somebody says the environment, she would say, boy, Leslie's eyes is lighting up. So tell us about this sort of passion that you have for the environment, and maybe share with our young Rotarians about that.
Yeah, thank you. No, having been influenced by what happens on a farm and realizing that, you know, the environment has a lot to do with us. The environment influences what we do in our life, as far as I'm concerned. And I was so exposed to the environment in my life, even up to now. I realized that we really have to we have to protect the environment, not destroy it. And it is so important that we recognize what is happening to our environment now, and that we must take necessary action to protect the environment. And that is what stimulates my thoughts when I travel, when I see how the environment is being brutally destroyed out there, especially the fact that I do a little bit of fishing and I see the stuff that piles up in the oceans. You know, it really is damaging the fish life out there, and we have to be concerned about that. You know, we have to protect our forestry industry, because again, water is an important facet in life. We need water every day, and we have to protect the forestry so that we can ensure that we have safe supplies of drinking water in every island in our country. So we shouldn't take water for granted. We shouldn't take our environment for granted as a whole, because I think that is what keeps us alive. We need to sustain the environment. We have to protect it. We have to do things that will regenerate in our environment and keep us healthy. So that is my passion for environment.
So we'll hear a lot about environment in the coming year, and I think it's something that we all, the whole notion of climate change and so on is sort of very relevant for our region.
Certainly every club that I visited that DG Sonia has invited me to visit with her, I have indicated to the clubs that my commitment to the environment is paramount, and I'm strongly asking clubs to develop projects focused on the environment. So that's something we're going to be looking forward to.
Yeah, excellent. So Brennan, back to you. And you alluded to this because you said you started your Rotary career in St. Lucia. You reside in St. Vincent now, do you? Yes, and you talked about traveling the region. And I sense you have a passion for the region and culture, experiencing and understanding the diverse cultures of the Caribbean and beyond, understanding what's unique and appreciating what makes us alike. How do you think as a 70-30 region we could, what is your vision for this region that we reside in, and how do you see us in Rotary leveraging the differences of our uniqueness?
Okay, well, you know, this morning we had an excellent guest speaker, Dr. Leon. I believe he's from St. Lucia.
Correct.
Now, among the matters that he mentioned during his presentation was the rich diversity that the rich diversity within Rotary, and the fact that we could use that rich diversity for economic development within the region. And diversity, I think, is Rotary's biggest asset. Look at this room. I mean, if we take time to just look across at each other, we will see not just diversity by talking about it, but diversity in action. We have at least 3 languages, so many ethnicities. I think we could form a United Nations within here. We have age ranges from 18 all the way up to our age, Leslie.
Yeah, I'm glad that you went that direction and not this way.
Yeah, I was going there and I realized, no, wrong direction. But I think it's important that we leverage that diversity within Rotary to take us to another plane of service. There is so much we can do as District 7030. I remember going to the zone meeting in September last year. That was in Naples, Florida. And other districts were talking about their experiences with diversity. And when our opportunity came to talk about our experience, I suddenly realized the advantage that we have as District 7030. What I would like to see, though, is diversity taken to another limit. We are not just talking about gender diversity, sexual persuasion diversity, and the standard types of diversity that we tend to discuss. We need to look at all aspects of diversity. We need to make sure that Rotary membership is as inclusive as it can be and becomes a microcosm of the societies that we live in. So going forward, I really have a vision for Rotary that becomes as inclusive as it can be. By not embracing diversity, we'll be losing too many opportunities to enrich our own membership. So I would like to make a special appeal to all of us. Let us examine even greater opportunities for a more complete, diverse District 7030. So.
Yeah, thank you. Very, very solid response. Good. So I have a question for all three of you now. This question will be, I'm going to say, and you will all have an opportunity to respond to it. And it really is one that I think everybody here can sort of identify with. We are all very busy people. We have 100 things that we do in a day. So my question is, first of all, what's a typical day like for you? What does that involve? And then how do you recharge? Well, you know, what do you do to recharge so you can be fresh again to go? Who wants to go first?
I could take that.
Okay, DG is going first. Yeah.
My day starts very early. I normally get up, and sometimes DG Sonia wakes me up when I'm asleep.
That's like at 4:35-ish.
That's about 4:35. I normally get up about that time. So I start working, you know, looking at emails coming in and that sort of thing. And I religiously go to the office every morning in time to open. I like to lead from in front, so I make sure that I'm opening the office before 8 o'clock, so that my staff sees that as an example that you must be there on time. I think punctuality is very important in our life, and as Rotarians, we should be very clear on being punctual. Whether we invited to a meeting or to any occasion, punctuality is important. So I start my day at the office, and I'm a multitasker. I do many things. So I mix my daily work with my Rotary work, because sometimes I have to jump from one activity to the next. It takes me a whole day doing different things, managing my workforce. First, the persons that work with me in different departments, making sure that they're engaged in what they are employed to do, and making sure that jobs are completed. So it does take up all the day, and also a lot of overseas calls come in, all my suppliers. So I just have to keep switching from one to the other. And
how do you recharge? How do you recharge that? Like,
I sleep very well until DG wakes me up. You know, sleep very well.
And sleep is important. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Thank you.
And I am able to turn off when I am finished working. I'm able to just turn off. My brain becomes very clear. I don't think about anything, and I drop asleep immediately. So that reinvigorates me.
Sleep. Debbie? Okay,
so because I'm in private practice, my days, they vary. Some mornings I might have, if I have court, it starts usually at 9 a.m. But since we have gone virtual, court could start 9, it could start 10, it could start 1 p.m. Usually I would go into office, I would attend to whatever court matters I have. You would meet with clients during the course of the day. I would blend my work day with my Rotary work, the different, committee work, etc. that I have to do. I keep in close contact with my family and friends on WhatsApp. I'm a WhatsApp person, so I tend to chat during the course of the day as well. And on afternoons, I play with my dog to de-stress. He recharges me. And I like spending very quiet moments to reflect at the end of the day. And like Leslie, I have absolutely no problem falling asleep.
Excellent, thank you for that. Lord, keep it energized. And Brian, your response to this question?
No, I need to be very careful what I say here because I don't know whether my wife is still in the room or not. But because of the type of work I do, which is insolvency, I tend to have clients from all over, including Europe and so on. So my days can sometimes start as early as 4 o'clock in the morning with telephone or Zoom calls. And like DG, Nominee, Debbie, sometimes I do have to attend court as a witness, so that would utilize a lot of my mid-mornings. What I do realize now, though, is that the position of district governor is like a full-time job. I didn't realize that before, and it suddenly hit home. So I think the three of us here have come to a wide awakening, a rude awakening, that if you have a full-time job, you need to make that full-time job a part-time job so that you can deal with the challenges, well, not challenges, but deal with the requirements of being a district governor. So I think regardless of what we do now, it's more important for us to think about how do we adjust our lives so we can give Rotary the attention it deserves in the district. And I know most of you are saying, oh God, I hear that one before, I've heard that before. In terms of unwinding, I used to play a lot of squash. I don't anymore because of a vision problem. I started cycling. Well, I continued cycling. I fell a couple times, so I haven't been cycling as often as I should. But yes, it is important to have some form of exercise to assist you to deal with the mental stress that we have to go through. So
thank you. I thought we'd ask that question because we have lots of leaders in the room, and the challenge of time is a real one. Just to give my people who are administered the back a check on me. So I have a couple of quick fire round questions that I'm going to ask, and then I'm going to give you some parting opportunities. And I'll tell you what I want you to address in your parting answer if you don't mind. So, do you have a nickname? Any nickname?
Some people call me Les, my close friends.
Les, nickname?
BAG, B-A-G, my initials.
Debs.
Debs, who's the living person that you most admire?
He's sitting right here in the audience, my dear good friend, PTG David.
Whoa. Living person you most admire, Brian?
In my case, it would be somebody like Obama because of what he has done for a lot of people like myself.
Cool. So these are quick fire one-word answers, so you don't need to explain too much. I should have explained that before, sorry. Living person that you most admire?
That would be my mom.
And who's your biggest influence in life?
The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Okay, biggest influence in life?
My sister, Lorraine.
Okay, biggest influence in life?
A gentleman named Kwame Nkrumah, who's deceased.
Okay. What's your most treasured possession?
My fishing boat.
Oh, most treasured possession?
A couple of paintings by a St. Lucia artist.
Okay, cool. Treasured possession, Debs?
Paul, I'm not into possessions, but if I have to choose, I'll say my dog.
How would your friends describe you? How would your friends describe you, Debbie?
Passionate, loyal.
Brian? Somebody say loving, Brian.
I would probably have to ask my friends. I don't know if I have any. In the back. But I think crazy would come in there some.
Okay, cool. We'll see that later for sure. DG Leslie.
Very conservative.
Okay, I think we all might agree with that. All right, so I don't see my DJ. Anyhow, what music would you choose to play every time you walk into a room?
Alicia Keys, we are here for all of us.
Woohoo!
Marley, Bob Marley.
Anything in Bob Marley?
I never decided that. I'm usually cool with any relaxing music.
All right, cool jazz or religious. Okay, so parting comments for our audience here. One last comment from each of you. And we have a number of president-elects, secretary-elects, people who are going to be coming onto the board. And perhaps in your parting comments, if you could share a word of advice with them for what they can expect, how they could navigate the year, I think that could be useful. I also had a question, the worst advice you ever had, so if you want to throw that in there, or the best advice. But your choice. So parting comments, over to you, and we will start with DG and Debbie, and go this way.
Okay, I'll be brief. I'll say to breathe, you've got it. If you're feeling nervous, do not worry about it. We've all been there at some point in time, and that you have a lot of support from your club, from your assistant governor, and from members of the district. You're not alone.
Thank you.
This is not about you. This is about us. We're all in this together. And to quote Debbie, you're not alone.
And DGE Leslie, last words from you.
Yes, I would just like to tell my president-elects that as they come to assume their leadership role, to please, and I've said it before, please take care of your club members. Make sure that you have them on board with you. Create that an environment that they feel comfortable and they feel cared for, and that you value their inputs. I think that is what will make us have a very successful year.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, your future leaders of Rotary District 7030. Give them a round of applause. Thank you.